Today, we're going to talk about 5 mistakes that social dancers make that Megan complains about every single week. What's up, gang? My name is Brian B.
I'm Miss Megan.
We're from Louisville, Kentucky. This video is going to talk about both leaders and followers and the general community. So we're going to start very general and talk about basic floor craft. So that's the first mistake we make. Sometimes it's not explained to us as students when we're new because we're learning a lot of stuff. The generalness of floor craft, the stationary dances, cha-cha, salsa, rumba, West Coast swing, East Coast swing, are going to stay towards the middle of the floor. The progressive dances, those are things like waltz, foxtrot, tango, two-step, samba. Those dances are going to work around the outside. So that's the generalness, especially if you're a country dancer, line dancers to the middle, two-steppers on the outside. That's the general rule. But the second thing you want to do is be specific to the venue you're in, meaning if you are at a salsa dance and there's no ballroom dancers and no ballroom dance music, you're likely not going to have to worry about leaving an outside lane, right? If you are in a West Coast swing venue, you might pay attention to, in that specific venue, do we line the dance up this way? Do we line the dance up this way? Like in this room, how do people, we do our classes this way.
And we dance
and we
this
social
way.
dance this way. So it's a quirk of our studio. You take your class this way, but then we social dance it this way. So you want to pay attention to the specific venue you're in, more practically, especially if you're new. If you're new and you know a waltz box, waltz is basically a stationary dance for you. So even though I'm dancing waltz, I've got waltz dancers flying up on the outside, so I want to move a little bit inside. So your final tip is when progressing, you want to leave the outside track for the faster moving dancers, and you want to be on the inside track if you're slower moving. So keep that in mind, pay attention to the venue in, and you will not make those floor crafts mistake. What's number 2, Miss Megan?
Being a move junkie.
And what is a move junkie?
When you think all you need to learn are new patterns.
So as leaders, even though I probably have 1,500 dance moves on a video somewhere in the internet, I am just like everybody else. I can only remember 6 or 8 at a time. So as you're learning, try to, especially as leaders, and we're going to talk about followers in number 4 specifically because they make a mistake a little different than the leaders do, but leaders, you want to focus on a group of patterns that you can successfully lead with as many possible people. So the way that I think about it is
do them well before you move on.
And do them well before you move on. So as the leader, I like to have some easy patterns that I can dance with newer people, and then I like to have some cool kid patterns that I can dance with more advanced people. And we're going to get to this on number 5, talking about dancing to the level. But not being a move junkie, being specific with the moves, these are the easy ones that I know, these are the harder ones. But followers have a different story. So number 3, the followers have the issue of
not knowing your footwork.
So as a leader, if Megan doesn't know her footwork, I'm now responsible for moving her through every step.
Yes, that's when you might feel that you're being manhandled.
As a follower. And you'll end up going, well, I can dance with a good leader. But what's happening is the good leader is just manhandling you on every step, and it's really hard. It's a lot of effort for us. But if we're dancing rumba, there's an agreed upon basic. I don't have to lead every step. We're dancing the rumba box. I only have to lead something that's a little different. So as the followers, the way you take group classes should be different than the leaders. Leaders, we want to understand what we need to do to lead the pattern. I could lead that without even the proper footwork. So the footwork is a little less important for me, but it's vital for the followers. So followers, when you take classes, pay attention to the footwork and the possibilities and know it really, really well. Leaders, you want to more pay attention to how do I execute this pattern? Because if I lead a crossover break and I do all my footwork correctly from my crossover break, I don't have a crossover break, but my footwork was correct. And even Emily's behind the camera going, what are you talking about, Brian B? What I mean by that is I could lead a crossover break and do the wrong footwork even, which I'm sure that's, and then eventually I'll get the right footwork. So leaders, you want to pay attention more to how the patterns get led. Followers, you want to pay more attention to the footwork because you don't have a say in the lead. Speaking of footwork, what is number 4, Miss Megan?
I don't know.
It is not knowing enough technique, and you love technique.
I love technique.
What do I mean by not knowing enough technique? This is a social dance channel. We have spent plenty of time and money mastering our technique at the professional level. What I love about my journey now is I get to take that technique and only give it to you when it's necessary for you to be a good social dancer.
But there is some that's necessary.
There is some, and we're gonna run through a couple dances. We have a whole channel that does West Coast Swing. In West Coast Swing, connection is very important for me to be able to lead the patterns. So that's a piece of technique that I'm gonna have to master. If I'm dancing cha-cha, here's an example. I do not have to master my Cuban motion and Latin hip motion to effectively dance cha-cha. But maybe for waltz, I need to actually understand that my weight does move through my foot, and this heel, toe, toe, heel baloney actually has a purpose. What I mean by that is, if I'm dancing, we just did a tango video, and if I'm moving through my heel, I can effectively change the pace of my partner while I'm dancing. So if I don't lead through my heel, I only have one speed, and it's much more difficult for me to show the difference to my partner between a tango basic. Oh, there's Megan clunking around. You can see what that looks like. Thank you for making the demonstration. That feels awful for me. But if we roll through our feet, we're able to communicate a tango basic versus a variation of the tango. So you want to master enough technique that makes you a solid social dancer. If you have a dance teacher, you can do that. We've got some videos here. Number 5 is not dancing to the level of your partner. What does that mean?
Well, it goes for both followers and leaders, but when you are social dancing, you want to make sure that no matter whether you're the follower or the leader, that you are dancing at the level of the lowest partner.
Yes, so as the leader, one of the things I'm doing right from the jump is I'm assessing the situation, right? I'm dancing rumba. I'll just pick a random dance. I'm dancing rumba, and I'm assessing how well is my partner moving? Is the timing good? Is the connection feeling good? That way I can make choices. Let's say Megan is moving on time, but she has a noodle arm for connection, right? Noodle arm for connection. Then things that require a lot of connection with this arm might not work, but Megan moves pretty well. I might just choose to dance the types of moves that I can use in closed position because I'm using her body and she can't noodle out her body. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and followers, in dances where you're in closed hold, you're not going to maybe do as many harder things with a lower level leader, but you want to just be conscious of not trying to do anything that's super weird.
And so on a higher level, let's say you're a very technical dancer and you've learned all this stuff, leader or follower.
As long as it doesn't affect your partner, you can do it.
Right. So if I need to dance ballroom dance and I need to stay in my window, I do not have to push my partner into this big position, and nor should I, because I'll look like an awkward person, both as the leader or follower. So you want to use the techniques you have and dance to the level of your partner. Now, if you want 7 secrets to good social dancing, we did a video over here. Super cool video. It's very popular. You'll want to watch that. And then we created an ebook for social dancers with a bunch of tips and tricks, especially if you're new. It's a great resource, and you can download that right up here for free. See you on the dance floor soon.